This is the George Moulos podcast. Today we have Alex Kyritsis, a German Greek entrepreneur, and we're going to dive right into it. I had a question come in from a listener as a first question. Let me find it. So the first question is they wanted to know, who the fuck do you think you are?
Well, I'm Alex. I'm your good friend, as you know. So to all the listeners, Alexandros Kyritsis, my real name. Full Greek, basically born and raised in Austria and Germany, and I'm the CEO of the Closing Academy and the Closing Agency.
In a weird way, I think when we met, I was like, this guy's like me, just grew up in Austria instead of Australia.
Basically, yeah. So, I grew up to Greek immigrant parents, just like you did in Australia, I did in Germany and Austria. So, almost the same life, just on the other side of the world.
Yeah, I think the first time I realized, wait, all Greek immigrants everywhere around the world are pretty much the same. Yeah. It's a different flavor. Like in Australia, Greek immigrants are called Wogs. In Germany, Austria, they're called Kanaks.
Yeah.
Right?
Kanaken, yeah.
But all the jokes are pretty much the same. Growing up, all the jokes are the same.
Yeah, we were talking about it like after the second or third time we met, like it's basically the same thing for every Greek immigrant around the world. I guess in America it's kind of the same.
Yeah, I think what I've realized actually the last few weeks is Greek immigrants in America are the best Greek immigrants.
Oh yeah, they're the most successful for sure.
Most successful, they're the coolest. That's the biggest thing. Yeah. All right, Australia, Greek immigrants, there's a lot of them, but America, they're the coolest. New York, Greeks are the coolest Greeks around.
By far.
The accent, the swag, everything is actually cool.
By far, man. In Germany or Austria, if you're a Greek immigrant, all you do is you open a restaurant.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it, basically. You're just a restaurant guy there.
In Australia, in America, they're proud of being Greek immigrants. In Australia, a lot of Greek immigrants pretend like they're not Greek. Oh, they'll change their name. They're like, I don't speak Greek after one generation. They give up very easily. Yeah. In America, they try. They're more proud of their culture, I think. I feel like, at least.
That's what I think too, yeah. Makes sense.
I think what's probably a good place to start, we have a lot of stories to tell. A lot.
And some we shouldn't
tell.
Some
we shall not tell. But I think one of the most interesting ones is how we became friends, because for me it was a lesson of like, I came to Cyprus broke, but with a lot of hope of making money, basically. And then we you were my kickboxing coach. I destroyed you in kickboxing. I think that's when you saw like, this guy's, great at kickboxing.
Yes, exactly.
That's phenomenal.
That's exactly
He's an
what
athlete.
Happened, bro. Yeah. Look, this is your podcast. I'm not going to call you out on that one, but yeah.
But we met a couple times a year at the doing kickboxing in Larnaca. But my mentality was, I'm coming to Larnaca for 61 days and I'm out of here. I don't really I'll make some friends, but at the end of the day, I'm not staying here to make friends long term necessarily, because I just won't be here. And then I think I was like, the end of that year, 2021, or maybe it was 2022.
Man,
it would have been 2021.
I'm bad with dates, honestly. I can't
it's been
really
too long now.
Yeah.
And I think we just chatted a bit here and there, and we were both entrepreneurs. We're both Greek immigrant entrepreneurs, moved to Cyprus in sales. Yeah. Like very similar, and we're around the same age. You're pretty old. But you're almost expired.
I'm too old.
But I think I realized at some point you were like, Ella, let me pick you up from the airport. I'm like, can you back off, bro? I'm not trying to make friends. What the fuck?
Yeah, bro, I was trying to be friendly, man.
I'm like, nah, dog, I'm
this
good.
This guy, he has no friends here. Come on, somebody help this guy out.
Give me a break. I'm like, you know what? And this is me. I will go somewhere. People will be friendly. And I'm like, I just got to focus on work. Got to just grind it out. And then I'm pushing people away. Then I'm like, why am I so lonely? I don't get it. I'm being a dickhead to everyone. And then I think that's when we became friends and we actually hung out and went to the gym and stuff.
Yeah.
I think every year we basically it's like 2-3 years in a row. We came to Cyprus around the same time to work here, to live here, do our tax time, whatever it might be. And it was usually winter.
Yeah, it was usually the cold months, yeah.
And we were usually broke, struggling, to say the least.
Yeah.
And I think there is a quote in a Greek rap song, which is where a lot of wisdom is hidden in a Greek rap trap, where he's like, if you haven't been broke with me and struggled with me, why are you hanging out with me? And all right, it's stupid,
Yeah.
but there's some truth, and it's like, it's a different sort of friendship when you struggled with someone. I had a friend, Liam, when I was broke in 2017. He was 30 at the time, I was 18. And we would go and empty shipping containers at like 4 a.m. in the morning, just exhausted. And like, it's not, we had some business success in his life and in my life, and then we were broke again. And we're emptying shipping containers, and we was so broke. I remember I was sick, and I wasn't like, oh, I'm sick. I mean, I'm getting better slowly. I just kept deteriorating, bro. I was just dying slowly.
What was that the time you had a man bun?
I had a man bun because I couldn't afford a haircut. That we are not showing any photos of that. Bad. And I remember we would go past this Vietnamese like bakery, and we would buy 15 cent. That must be 10 cents euro bread. And I looked at my wallet this day. I'm like, I don't have 15 cents, bro. Oh, I asked Liam, I'm like, bro, can I actually borrow 15 cents? Because I got you. They're like 50 cents. And I remember he had like one day out of nowhere, it's like, oh, someone just put $1,000 in my bank account. I go, from who? From an invoice? Because I have no idea. I think it was a mistake by the bank. He ran to the ATM, pulled it out, and he goes, easy come, easy go. The next day, they're like, we have to debit your $1,000 from your account. He goes, too bad, bro. This is mine for the month. And I'm like, dog.
Change phone number, change identity.
He goes to me, I go, bro, half of that's mine. He goes, yeah, done. $500 to you, $500 to me. We had to pay it back, but it was the same thing. Well, I think it was one of the first winters we were here grinding. I remember I'm just like, dog, can I borrow like $100, $200? You're like, yeah, I got you. It's such a low point when you're like, I just need an extra 100 just because I need to pay for food this week.
Yeah.
But when you actually struggle with someone, it's a different connection.
Yeah,
to someone
like,
you meet, you're doing well, they're doing well. It's different.
That's true. It's not only sunshine and flowers. When I came to Cyprus, it wasn't like I wasn't. There were times I had no good money, but you struggle through some weeks, some months. But yeah, everything picked up quite good now. I think we're doing both for our. Doing both good for ourselves. Yeah.
Well, last year within like a few months, we went from like, yeah, we're doing all right to like, oh
shit! Yeah.
Did we just make it?
We got some. We got some money now.
I remember I sent you a picture of a payment to one of my bank accounts, and then like a month later you sent one. I'm like, shit, we're doing good.
That was some good money coming in then. Yeah, dude. True. Yeah, I remember you seeing you the first time. You were standing in the doorstep of the big gym where we met, and I'm like, man, this guy looks great, but that's a weird accent, bro. Like, and then I realized, this guy's Australian actually, yeah. And then we did the session, and and then you did another session, I think, and then we started hanging out actually. And you left. You were like, I don't want to be here. I'm doing my 60 days, and I'm gone. And then you stayed a bit longer, and we started hanging out.
Yeah, and then I left. I went got broke, and then I came back because I was broke.
Yeah, exactly. And you had all these crazy stories where you got robbed in Barcelona and stuff. And I was like, all right. I'm going to pick this guy up.
Yeah. Man, it's a weird thing when you kind of decide, because you don't do it, like you don't think about it. You don't sit down and be like, you know what, I'm going to hang out with this friend, hang out with that friend, and not this friend. But you do it subconsciously, right? Like we're in Larnaca. It's a small town. We're in Cyprus, small country. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of people we could be friends with, could have spent the last 3 years when we were here hanging out with.
Could.
But at the end of the day, you and I both when we're here, we were in monk mode. We wanted to focus.
Yes.
And I think we realized, you know what, there's a lot of, look, anywhere you go, there's a lot of fake entrepreneurs. People who want to be busy.
Yeah.
They don't want to actually, just sit down and work. And if we're going to, you and I, when we were grinding it out, we'd go to the gym a few days a week, and then we'd sit down one day a week for a cafe or shisha or something.
Yeah, bro. And
to relax.
That's true. And the one thing I learned is, like, I wasn't used to that, because back in the day, I had friends where I would be like, I'm busy. And they would make me feel guilty. They'd be like, oh man, you're always doing this. You don't have time. Like toxic girlfriends, basically. Yeah. And with you, it was like, hey bro, come out. I got a call. And you're like, yeah, all right. And I'm like, all right. He's
yeah, well, upset, at some point, it's just like.
But it's the understanding when you both work on your goals, and when you have friends who strive for the same thing. So that was, for me, that was a new experience, because I didn't have friends like that before.
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember back home in Australia, my friends would be like, Ella, like, it's Friday night, we're going out. I'm like, no chance. They're like, you're letting everyone down. You've changed. You think you're better than everyone. I'm like, we have completely different circumstances, dude. Like, give me a break. If I have to do calls
I'm
to
trying
America,
to do better for myself.
she, like, I think at the end, and even now, like, look, last year we saw each other like 3-4 times maybe.
Yeah.
Like, and we're like, when we can make it work, we make it work, right? And I remember hanging out with some friends every other day when I was in Barcelona. Every other day I'm there with some of my friends, but we ain't that tight. You and I were there where we might not see each other for 6-7 months. Okay, fine. Meet up at Kyritsis for like 1 week.
Yeah,
great
that was
time.
lit. Yeah.
We just focus. I mean, we're in a weird world where the digital nomad world where friendships are weird in that way. Back, when growing up, we would sit, every day you see a friend, go to the gym, you do this the other weekends, all of that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, now it's like you only see some friends a couple times a year.
That's
But it ain't that bad.
But it ain't that bad, no. Because when you see each other, it's like you spend every day of your life with each other. Yeah. It was the same with, like, I came to Athens, right? You were in Athens. I spent a few days in Athens. Then we met in Chalkidiki, which is like so random for us to meet. Like, if we didn't meet here, we would never meet in Chalkidiki in real life. And then you came to Austria for Christmas.
Family, which is great.
So
man, I prefer that over. I mean, this goes to the question of like environment,
True.
and entrepreneur environment, and people are always at the talks, which you helped me start, which we should talk about. People always talk about, oh, well, my parents this, my friends that. It's just not the environment to start a business. But at the end of the day, it's like you are in control of your environment. And environment has a massive impact on how you get things done and what you do with your career. Like, even as minute as, for me, you've seen my apartment.
Yeah.
Food-wise, it's empty.
Yeah.
There's some spices, there's water in the fridge, that's pretty much it. If I'm gonna eat something, I'm gonna go buy the exact ingredients, cook it, and then that's it for the day, maybe, leftovers for tomorrow. Because I know I'm the type of person, the environment, if I put temptations in my environment, I'm gonna eat everything in the house. I can't buy 5 days of food because I'm gonna eat everything in one day.
You need to control yourself.
So it's like a self-awareness with environment is my point. So if I know that I'm in an environment like I was in Sydney, the culture of Sydney and Australia is you hang out with your friends, you get crazy drunk on Saturdays and Saturdays, and then you wake up on Monday, you forget what happened, and you start again. That's not the environment I wanted to be in. And I know it's tempting.
That's quite similar to the Austrian. I think all over the world, basically.
Yeah, the Western world for sure.
For sure, yeah.
But for me, it's like, you know what? If all my friends are going out, I'm going to want to go out. But if I'm on the other side of the world, I'm not going to want to go out. The temptation isn't there. The environment isn't there.
True.
And if you surround yourself with friends who are like, dog, I have a call, so I got to work. First question I'm like is, do I have shit that I should be doing?
Why do I not have a call? Yeah.
And that comes down to environment. I think...
also taking responsibility, man. Like I talked about this with my business partner and friend, Pat. And it's... What changed my life basically was taking responsibility for everything. Like if somebody's doing or like you said, your environment is making you go out to drink or whatever, and you don't take your responsibility and be like, what, I'm responsible for my own life. I can't be doing that. And what I'm trying to say is you need to take responsibility for basically everything in your life. And accountability.
Environment isn't something that happens to you. Yeah. You can take control of how
you can take control of it. Exactly. And it comes down to everything, to private life, to business, to whatever you do, to your gym goals, to your financial goals. If you take responsibility, you can basically you're halfway there.
I think that's the biggest thing. When we'll get into this about the university talks that you helped me start.
Yeah.
So many of the university talks that I did in Greece and Cyprus, and you were there, and a lot of them. Especially Greek people, especially Greek students, they're like, well, my country isn't pro-business or it's shit, they would say. Then they'd be like, my school isn't somewhere that promotes, doing something on your own, and my family and culture generally would, make fun of me if I wanted to start a business.
Yeah.
Well, one, you control your environment. If you're in an environment that doesn't want you to start a business, you can change that. Now, some people can't go and start renting their own place. Okay, fair. But in a second way, you can be in a terrible environment, but you decide how it affects you. That goes
Exactly.
to Viktor Frankl when he wrote Man's Search for Meaning. He's in the concentration camps. He said, you know what? This is a terrible thing, but at the end of the day, the only thing that I control is how I perceive some stuff, how it affects me. And being in a nice Greek house, where your mum makes 3 meals a day and irons your bed sheets every day, isn't in a concentration camp.
It's not.
If that's if it's a little bit restricting to your ambitions, okay, but you can decide how that affects you.
Of course,
right?
of course.
So yeah. So
And yeah, that's what a lot of young Greek people have, this victim mentality of like, oh man,
100%.
I heard it 1,000 times. Every year we went to our village in Greece. Oh, you grew up you have a different upbringing. Yeah, bro, it's not like Germany. It's not like they put money in your bank account for no reason, bro. Like
they think that if you're born in Austria or the West, oh, you're rich automatically.
And that's the thing. They blame everyone else, and that's the main problem in like young Greek people, or I would say even young people
in general.
In general, like stop blaming other people for what you cannot do.
Yeah.
Like start taking responsibility.
I think the irony of when we went and spoke to these to young people at universities is that if you're an immigrant from Greece or an immigrant in general to another country, you're now trying to keep up with that country. So like, if you're in Austria, if you're in Australia, if you're in America, or the UK or Canada, you probably rent a place and your parents have to work crazy hard to rent a place, or have a mortgage on a place, have to work crazy hard, 3-4 jobs. And then you don't own the house you're in. Most people in Greece, most people in Athens, their parents own their house and the holiday house and the holiday house on the other side of the family. Like the pressure isn't there. Like the value of the property is less probably, but like the pressure isn't there. And the family has 2 cars usually, especially in Athens. It's like, and so for the kid, it's like you get 3 meals a day. Your mum does all your washing and cooking and everything in the family. I don't doubt that their parents work hard.
Especially if you're the son, like
of course.
you get the son treatment. Yeah.
And then it's like, and that was one of the biggest realizations. I did a talk at the Athens University of Economics and Business, and I tell my story, all this stuff, all the struggle, and the students are like, yeah, but you're lucky. I go, how? Because you struggled. Now you have motivation. I'm like, I think that's a dumb question. I think that's a dumb statement. Like you should be motivated, full stop, for a better life.
Of course.
You don't need, I never needed struggle to tell me I wanted to excel. I think that's a bit of a misnomer in the entrepreneurship community. It's like, oh, you were poor, that's why you had that grit and the determination to not be poor. That was a bit of motivation. But before my life fell apart, I knew that I wanted to build stuff and create stuff. Like I knew that day one. And I think people sometimes believe they need to struggle or believe they need to hit rock bottom to achieve.
You don't need to.
No, it's
I
worse.
I never hit rock bottom. I mean, there were times, obviously, but my parents, they made sure we had everything we need, even if they had to take a step back and maybe not get anything for themselves for Christmas or something, but we had everything we need basically. And I mean, all right, we had a restaurant, we had to work in the restaurant as all Greek immigrants, I think, have to. So, that's all right. But like I said, I never really struggled. Like if I had new clothes when I needed new clothes, I had new shoes when I needed new shoes, and I had my school books when I had to pay for the school books. So you don't need to struggle. That's bullshit. I mean, you struggled, obviously. I didn't struggle as much as you. So that's
how much of my struggle was unnecessary is something I question as well.
That's a whole different thing. But yeah, that's the statement this kid made. That's some bullshit. Like straight bullshit.
On the topic of like supporting your friends when they come up with new and sometimes stupid ideas, especially of the last 5 years, no one has supported my stupid ideas more than you when I've come up with them. And I've had a few stupid ideas, and you were there like, yep, let's give it a crack. And one of my ideas was, hey, like, let's start doing university talks. 1, to give back in some capacity. 2, to promote my business and my personal brand. And if we can, get some content and some news and stuff. And the first maybe 5-10 talks I did, you were there. You usually drove me there because I didn't have a Cypriot license. Helped film, helped set up and everything, which was lit. And yeah. For me, that was crazy. I see how, like, I think as a young male entrepreneur, we're like, yeah, you do your things, good luck with you, with all that, and I do my thing, and we're just like very separate.
Yeah.
And I think if I've seen anything with you and your brothers, you guys actually help each other actively. It's not just like you're three individuals, good luck to each of you.
No,
You
that's
have a real team mentality.
Yeah.
Which is very different. Entrepreneurship is an individualist mentality type thing,
It is.
especially in our day and age. But your family acts like a team, which is lit.
Yeah, they
Pretty
do.
rare.
They do, yeah.
So on that note, tell me how your business started.
Yeah, well, basically, I mean, you said you were just talking about my brothers, and one of my brothers, Savas, he was always like the free spirit of the family. He was always like, the creative guy.
Yeah.
Sometimes he got in trouble for being too creative, but yeah, that's just who he is, and he's like the outgoing guy, the extrovert guy, And he started actually, he got into marketing and stuff. And he started selling this marketing product, and he made some money out of it. And then you're in Austria, and you don't want to be in Austria, right? So he looked into other options. He looked into Cyprus. He flew here. He looked.
What year was that? Like 2019?
That was 2018, 2019. Yeah. So he started looking into Cyprus. So eventually he was like, all right, I'm going to set up my business in Cyprus. He came to Cyprus. I was still working at a metal workshop. I was a welder, bro.
Yeah, I remember you took me there.
Yeah, exactly. And at some point, I just got fed up, man. I was like, man, I don't want to do this anymore. Like everyone else, everyone can change it. Everyone can start their own thing. And I was like, Savas did it. Like I see it in my family. Like the closest people to me are doing it. Why am I not doing it? And I just went to my boss and I was like, look, man, I quit. I don't care,
I'm out of here, dog.
He's like, all right, well, what are you gonna do? I mean, he was cool about it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to Cyprus. He's like, Cyprus? I'm like, yeah, I'm leaving. He's like, oh yeah, okay, like do your thing, man. And I packed my stuff. It was COVID times. It was crazy to come to Cyprus. Like that's the first time I had to.
So what year was that when you came? 2021.
2019, yeah. And that was the first time I had to deal with the Cypriot authorities because I didn't have a yellow slip. I was, I was trying to come in here. So my brother Savas, he employed me, and then I had a valid reason to come to Cyprus.
Yeah.
That's what they wanted. So I got a full employment agreement, and so I'm still employed to this day. And that was the reason that actually made it possible for me to come to Cyprus. And then I started just looking what he's doing, and I was like, this guy, man, he doesn't sleep. I was like, I have to get up earlier, and I was trying to do what he's doing. I was learning, I was looking what he's doing. I learned about sales, I learned about marketing, more about sales than marketing. And he was just grinding, and I was like, man, let's like, I'm in Cyprus, let's go. He's like, yeah, you can go to the beach. I have to work. I'm like, oh, all right, I'm not going to the beach either then.
How long did it take from when you...
Speaking of environment, yeah.
Yeah, when you quit your job in the welding factory to the day you made your first $1,000 plus sale? Like, when you're like, oh, I'm making real money now.
Bro, it took me a year. Just going from 0 to 1,000.
Yeah.
And I was, that's the hardest step,
Yeah.
the first step. And I didn't make any money. I was, I got some money from Savas coming in, but I didn't have my own until I started doing sales myself. And that was 1 year into being in Cyprus. The first year was just learning.
Yeah.
And that's one thing also people don't understand. It can be, you can make money fast, but sometimes you just need time. You just need to learn something. And it really took me a year. And then I was really dedicated after making my first close, basically. I started okay, yeah, shit, I can make money,
Yeah.
So, and my first close was also we were selling our product, the sales academy. And Savas was sick, and he was supposed to do the sales call. And he's like, man, I can't, you have to do it. I just straight into the cold water. I'm like, shit, I have to do it. I get nervous. I start sweating, never did a sale in my life. I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. And I sit in this, I'm just following procedure, I'm doing whatever I learned, whatever I trained to do. And the person in the Zoom call, they're like, yeah, I'm buying. I'm like, what? You,
Cool.
no objections, nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I'm like, all right, I prepare the link, the payment link and stuff. I get a notification, paid.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? In 1 hour, I made $500.
Yeah.
And then I go to South. I'm like, I closed the deal. He's like, all right, cool. For him, it was like
Nothing. Yeah.
and then he's like, I actually got one more today. I'm like, oh, really?
Can I
He's
do
like,
it?
yeah. He's like, you do it. I'm like, all right. I start sweating again. You know, I get nervous. I'm like, shit. I get prepared. I do whatever I have to do. Like I listen to music and stuff. I get hyped up. You know, different
Shadow boxing,
the,
Rocky music.
break dancing, going to the butcher, you know, punching the cows,
running up to Philadelphia State, fucking.
you know, just to get myself hyped. You know, that's what different strategies work for different salespeople. Anyway, I get hyped. You know, I do the sales call and another close, another $500. I'm like, I made $1,000 in one day just by doing sales. 2 hours work. 1,000 euros basically.
How long would you have had to work at the welding factory to make that money?
That would be like 2 weeks working. Yeah. And I go to South. He's sick and bad. He can't move. He's sweating. He has fever. I'm like, I made another sale. I'm super hyped. He's like, man, leave me the fuck alone, bro.
Man, it's crazy. I think about that moment.
I remember that day because you asked me how I made the first one.
Yeah.
I remember this exact day. Like it was a crazy day for me. I wasn't prepared for anything to happen that day. And then I made €1,000 and I'm like, man, this actually works.
It's those days. It's like we're not young anymore. We're not like kids. How old are you now? 26?
I'm 27 now. I was 20, 24, 25 when that happened.
25, yeah. I think about these moments and like I've been doing this stuff for 13 years now. Since I'm 13, I'm turning 26 this year. You've been in business, 4 or 5 years now?
Yes.
Like we work every day, hours and hours a day, weekends, holidays, every day we work. But it's these very few moments that we remember so clearly.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's kind of weird how you forget about them. But as you were telling me this, especially the welding part, and I remember going to the factory at Christmas back in your village in Austria, it reminded me of this moment when I worked doing shipping containers when I was like 13, 14, 15. Quit because I was making internet money from buying and selling businesses and growing businesses. And then I had to go back there at 18 years old with my friend Liam. I had to go back to the shit job that I had. And I was there for like a month. And we would, like I said, eating Vietnamese bread rolls and stuff and having like 7-Eleven meat pies.
Disgusting.
Disgusting. And then one day I'm there and we had to have gloves and a weight belt and steel cap boots. Liam and I were unloading this 40-foot shipping container frozen. And I'm just there freezing and we're so tired. And a good thing, like 20 foot was $100. 40 foot was $200, but we had to split it. So where I would on my own do like one 40-foot container a day and it was good money, even if it was like 10 hours, which shakes out to below minimum wage. But
that's criminal, bro.
Yeah, you know, don't worry. I won't say where I worked, even though it's pretty obvious. But if we did it together, we had to do 2 40-foot containers. So we'd get there, and the thing is, we had to get there at like 4 a.m. because the Indian dudes would get there pretty early, and they were actually way better workers than us. But we wanted to get the easy one, so we get the easier pay. So then we get there like 4 a.m., which means we have to leave home at like 2:30, which is about the time we got home from going out because we went out almost every day.
No sleep, basically.
And we would get there 4 a.m. And I remember we were doing it for about a month. And I have some footage. I was taking time lapse, which is a weird thing because I'm like,
I saw that video actually.
Yeah, I would take
showed
that
me, yeah.
time lapse footage of me doing container because part of me is like,
yeah, you looked, bro, like you looked like shit.
Defeated.
You had this weightlifting belt and like, man, that was crazy looking.
Man, it was weird that I filmed it because I didn't do any vlogging, any YouTube stuff back then. But I was like, I want to remember this, and because I feel like I'm going to do way better in my life because I want to document it. And then I remember I filmed that one day, and then a few days went by, and we would get paid at the end of the month, or at the end of 2 weeks, and we would get paid mavra, cash in hand, right? And we needed the money like today, every day, right?
Of course.
And I remember doing this blueberry frozen container, 40-foot container. We're almost done. You don't get paid unless you finish the whole thing. We're almost done. There's like maybe 4 or 5 rows left. And I'm just there. And I remember I had a perfect playlist for doing a container, like just to keep my tempo. I would have that Bon Jovi song, Halfway There, where he's like halfway there when I was halfway. That's how exact I was with my tempo. And at one point I'm like, and it was so embarrassing to go back there because every Kytherian from my island basically worked in this place, right? All the immigrants would go work there.
But don't say which one.
No, don't say which one. There's only one. And I was like, I'm so embarrassed to be here. And I'm also a loser. I thought like I was an entrepreneur. I didn't go to university. Look where I am. 6 months later, great decision. And then I'm just thinking and thinking. And it's just a lot of time to just think on your own. And when you work so closely with a good friend for that many hours a day, when you're both depressed and broke, you're going to be very aggressive to each other. We're arguing all the time. And anyway, so I'm like, you know what? I'm only here at unloading shipping containers because I allowed myself to have this as a plan B. If I didn't say, you know what, if all my businesses go to shit, I can come back to this, I wouldn't be here, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm burning the boats, right?
Yeah.
And burning the boats, where does that come from? Spanish conquistador left Cuba to conquer the Aztec Empire. He only had like a couple hundred people. And some of the people in the group were like, hey, let's get the fuck out and go back to Cuba. Forget about conquer this whole 1 million person empire. So what did Cortez do? He burnt all the boats.
Burnt the boats, yeah.
We're going to conquer this place so that...
Or we're dying.
Or we're going to die. So there's no way out. And I go to Liam. I go, Liam, bro, I know we have our differences at times in opinions, but I need you, give me your gloves and weight belt and steel cap boots right here, right now, which cost like $100, which is not nothing. We're going to throw away this container, which we've been working all day on. Give me all that stuff and follow my lead. And he could tell the seriousness in my eyes. He's like, all right. I throw our shit in the bin. I go to the boss. I go, I want our $1,000 from the last week's work. He goes, it's Wednesday. I'm like, right here, right now, please. He goes, all right. I go, listen, I know you have let me work here since I was like 12 years old. You paid me in cash, which is lovely. Thank you, but I want to ask one more favor. Never, ever let me work here ever again. He goes, all right. He's like,
this guy lost his mind.
Yeah. I go, I want to see you. Next time I see you, I don't want to be unloading shipping containers. I want to see you in Kythera at the beach saying, how you doing? I did very well for myself. And you just say, yeah, congratulations. And that is exactly what happened 1 year later.
No way.
I swear, I saw him in Kapsali.
They always go to Kythera.
Yeah, every year.
Yeah.
And he goes, like, he's like, how did it go? I'm like, pretty good.
I'm doing fine.
I'm doing all right. But man,
amazing, bro.
It's that
amazing.
sort of a... and man, I remember I just went home that day. I'm like, I got to get my shit together. Yeah. I got to pull something together because I can't go back to that factory. I can't go back.
No, man.
Going from manual labor to making money on your computer is a different level.
Bro, that's a whole different thing. And that actually aligns pretty good with what you said in the beginning about the environment and stuff. If I stayed in Austria, I think I would be welding again today.
100%.
Today is what is it? It's Wednesday, right? And it's Thursday. I would be in the welding shop, bro. I would be inhaling the fumes of the weld, bro. Honestly. So that's why I was like, all right, same thing. I need to burn the boats. I took one-way ticket to Cyprus, which was a pain in the ass. Bro, I was living with my brother in Vienna because I couldn't leave Austria. So I was depressed in Austria before I left to Cyprus. And then, when I came to Cyprus, like, it was a whole different thing. And then, like, working with Savas, like I said, man, like, this guy's just working. Yeah. And he's been doing it for way longer than I am. And he was just working tireless, like, just going for it. And I'm like, man, all right, I need to keep up, you know? And yeah, when did you make your first 1,000? From 0 to 1K being an entrepreneur?
For me, the first ever, like, oh shit, I'm never going to work a normal job in my life. That was with the Facebook groups. I was like 13 and like 9, 10 months old. Because I remember I got the job at McDonald's. First shifts, I'm like, this fucking shit. I can't be doing this. I can't do this, bro.
Assembling hamburgers.
You know what it was, bro? I would help my parents with the gardening business. I'd have to like do all the manual labor, like taking the bags of grass and all the shit jobs for free. Just slave labor, basically. And I was like, I'm going to get a real job at a company where I'm going to get paid money. It's going to be so much better. Can't wait to not be told by my parents.
Bro.
Dude, I get to McDonald's with my stupid hat. just covered in grease every day, just disgusting oil. I'm just like, this is terrible. This is worse. And I'm in the back area because only the women and the good-looking dudes were in the front area. I'm just there frying, and I'm on the grill. The grill is if you're the lowest of the lowest of the low. And I'm 13, 9 months old. I'm on the grill, which just means you get all the frying oil, lovey everywhere. And there's a grill that goes down like this, right? And if you want to get the last patty off, I would always burn my fingers. And that would balloon up like this. It was disgusting. I hated it. And I remember, and I was an angry teenager, bro, no doubt. And you could put your phone into the aux cord. I would just play angry Eminem. So I'm just there being angry and being like, just burning my fingers, working like Sunday and Saturday shifts because I was at school. And I'm like, this is terrible. Everyone hated me because I'm in Cronulla, which is mainly white Australians. They're like, look, this little wog boy, this idiot, he's angry, which I wouldn't actually make sense looking back. Like, this is just the worst environment. No one wants to talk to me. I hate this. It's not fun. There were some nice guys, but I was like, this is just the worst. And I remember just like with the Facebook groups, I started up the Facebook groups. I'm like sharing memes and stuff, built the communities up over a month or two. And then I just called schoolies.com, this spring break holiday company. I'm like, can I send some affiliate links? They're like, yep. After the first month, they're like, yeah. So the report is your people that use your code was 53 people. Well, what does that mean? And he goes, and they're like, well, that's 130,000 in sales. So you get like $3,000. I'm like, the first thing I did is I went to like my calculator. I went 3,000 divided by $8.06. I'm like, that's 349 hours
And
of McDonald's. Divide that by 24 days. That's like 14 and a half days just working at McDonald's straight. I'm like, that's crazy.
I'm not doing that
What's
anymore.
like, that's nuts. I kept the job at McDonald's for a while.
Oh, yeah.
But then I was doing that I was making commissions on that and a few other things. And then there's also like, it's like a mindset shift, right?
Yeah.
The next level was like selling like a Facebook group for like 10 grand. I was like, yo, 10 grand? Like 5 figures? Then it's like, I remember when I sold my first 6-figure business, 440K. I was like, oh, now we're in the big leagues. And to this day on my Google Calendar, I have the days that I made like each level up, right? So like, I think it's usually in March for some reason. March like 15th is when I made my first 6-figure sale, 6-figure commission. No, 6-figure sale is March 15th. And then 6-figure commission is like March 24th.
Yeah.
And every time you say, oh, I get it. Because you meet those people. Like I remember I was in Bali and I just met someone. I'm just like, oh, no. Yo, you can make that much money? Okay, well now that's the competition.
I think, I feel like those are the steps actually. It's 1K, then it's 10K, then you go 6 figures, and then it's 7 figures from that.
Yeah, and then beyond that, you kind of like, then there's the insane levels of wealth. Like,
Yeah, billions.
Yeah, billionaires. Like I told you the story of when I went to meet like this guy worth $200 million in New York. And I was so nervous about that meeting. I did the meeting and became a client. I'm like, that's good. And the next day I just went to meet a Greek billionaire guy. He was very nice to me, always talked to me. And I go to the meeting, I have the meeting. And he's like, sorry, George, I gotta wrap this up because I got a meeting with Obama. I go, what? Because Barack? I go, oh, there's levels to this game that I didn't even know. Hey, like, you become a millionaire.
Yeah,
Like,
bro.
nah, dude, there's different levels to that stuff.
Different connections. Different
Yeah,
levels.
that's
yeah,
power.
that's actually crazy. And that's also the mindset shift you have. Also, like when I came to Cyprus the first day, my brother was renting an office with another guy, also super rich guy, and I met him when I came here the first time. First day, like I came here, I slept. The next day we go to the office. There's this guy. He's a millionaire, right? I shake his hand. I'm like, oh yeah, he's a cool. And my brother, yeah, bro, he's rich as fuck. I'm like, what? He's like jeans, polo shirt, cap. I'm like, he's like, yeah, and like he made some good money in like crypto and stuff. I'm like, whoa, he doesn't look like you have a whole. You think like they look a certain way. They don't, man. Like they're just very normal and very kind people, all of them. And then we go to lunch with another guy. You know him, and we go to eat falafel. And he comes down. He comes to the office. Jack Wolfskin jacket, black jeans, cap as well. And then we have falafel. We have lunch. We go back to the office. My brother's like, yeah, he's super rich as well. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
First day here, 2 millionaires. I
know.
never met a millionaire in my life in Austria. I come to Cyprus. I meet 2 millionaires in one day. I'm like, man, like it's absolutely possible. And then like that's Cyprus level, right? And then we go to Dubai, for example. You meet millionaires all the fucking time, and you're not that impressed anymore. And I think that's a good thing. It might sound stupid, but that's a good thing, because you meet them and you're like, all right, they're normal people. They dress normally. They speak normally. They don't look, they're not arrogant or anything. It's actually quite the opposite. And you're like, all right, you get used to that environment, and you're like, all right, I can become that as well.
It's a weird thing
100%.
because, like, I think when we were, back in our hometowns, we know the people. We were one of the people who got, in some ways, left behind. Like, I think back to Sydney and the people I went to school with and stuff. In my eyes, like, entrepreneurship is the game. A normal job isn't the game. You're out of the game if you have a normal job, and that's fine. I don't judge that.
No, that's completely fine.
Fine, no problem.
Bro, a normal job for some people is the best thing ever.
Fantastic.
Do your thing.
But for me, working at any of the jobs I previously had and staying there for my whole life, that's being left behind. And I knew that was going to be me unless I'd made a move. Maybe I had to do something. And for me, it was just like, I remember the first real step I took was I actually watched a Patrick Bet-David YouTube video he made when he was just starting out on YouTube. But like, what it's like to be a millionaire. He's getting in a Ferrari. He's throwing the key to the chauffeur or whatever, the bellboy. I was like, that's pretty cool. And then I just like entrepreneur books, how to win friends, influence people. I sat down, I made myself a frappe at 13. I put a canato of Nero, and I'm just like, I'm going to read this book. And my ADHD brain was like, I can't do this. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. I just kept reading, and then that's when it just went from there.
That's the first book everyone should read.
Yeah, everyone. It seems so silly, the concepts, but it's like a must. Absolute must.
There are a few books you need to read.
Yeah. How do you think, we met through kickboxing. I'm no kickboxer or fighter, but
But you still beat my ass.
Yeah, I think we both have this thing where I have things I like to do on the side that are competitive, or at least I take a very competitive approach to it, that are hard. Running for me, swimming, or Spartan races, stand-up comedy, like things that are very difficult to do and very painful at times. And then your thing is kickboxing, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel that kickboxing and other hobbies you have affect or balance out in some way your entrepreneurial career?
That's a very good question. And I just want to make a quick. Remember when we sprinted and I beat you in sprints? I just want to have that officially on camera.
Yeah, you beat me at a 100-meter dash.
Thank you, bro. You need to. I also had this. I also talked about this with my business partner Pat. Like, if you get punched in the face, like getting in the ring, the nerves of getting in the ring, getting punched in the face, coming out injured, getting your nose broken or whatever, like nothing can really face you after that.
Yeah.
Like that's...
they're not going to buy. Don't buy. It's
exactly.
got bashed yesterday.
Like,
I don't give a shit.
You get beat up, like what's after that? Like, okay, dying probably, going to war maybe, but that's the closest you come to like super, like nerves,
noise
adrenaline.
levels just come down after like sparring.
And then after that, you're like, all right, nothing can really face me after doing that. So that's one aspect. And also just having nothing else than business, I feel like you're going crazy.
Yeah.
Because you have nothing, sometimes, not always, but at times you have nothing to look forward to. But when I know, tonight I go training, this is something I really enjoy. I do my work good, and I know like I'm gonna go to training. I'm gonna have 1.5 hours where I can just switch my mind off, have a good time with the boys at the gym, train, develop, and also I'm very competitive. Like I'm trying to be the best. When I go to a gym, I'm trying to be the best in the gym. When I go to a fight, I'm trying to win the fight, obviously, and that's also something that's cool to have, but in a different environment. In business. All right, you need to be competitive. If you're not competitive, you're fucked. Yeah. That's not how you can run a business. And also the same with sports. Putting this competitiveness into something else as well is great for me. Otherwise, I would go crazy. And I've been doing sports my whole life. When I was young, I was running, climbing. I was crazy little monkey going around. And then I went to a sports school, to sports high school. We were doing 8 hours of sports a week. So the normal kids just did 2 hours. We did 8 hours. So we did track and field, gymnastics, handball, volleyball, all kinds of stuff. And then I did that for 4 years in high school. And after that, I was like, all right, I want to continue doing sports. I played football. I played American football as well. And then also
I played NFL football.
American football, yeah.
What the hell? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I did that for 2 years. Amazing, bro. I love it. I still love watching NFL and stuff. It's great. And at that time, I also got into martial arts. So I started, and then I had to make a decision. Do I want to do American football, where I have like zero chances of becoming anything in that
genetic
sport? Like
predispositions.
I'm a small Greek boy, like fuck that. I'm not getting anywhere doing that. But I really enjoyed it. But I also enjoyed martial arts, so I put all my energy into kickboxing. Had a couple fights, and I still do it to this day. It's been a decade now since I've been doing kickboxing and Muay Thai. And yeah, like I said, man, you need something. You need something other than business, because I feel like you would just go crazy. I mean, you know that you swim, you run, you beat people up for fun.
For me, it's competitive. It's challenging, but it's a completely different muscle. Like with running, there's a lot of things that I love running because it is so much like entrepreneurship in so many ways. Like one of the main things I did with running, like roughly the same time I started in business, I started doing running just on my own, right? And I'm not a good runner. I'm a short Greek dude that is like, my height is like 80% torso, my legs 20% of my height.
You have too much torso.
Yeah, too much torso. The ratio's off. But I know it's that thing that I like. My teachers, my rugby coaches be like, dog, don't run. Just bulldoze people and go down. You ain't a runner. I'm like, fuck that guy. I'm going to run. And for me, it was just a thing that's like, this is going to be painful, but I should do it.
Yes.
Because it's also like the best way for me to lose weight.
And also one thing, sorry to interrupt you, bro. The discipline you need to have to do sports translates perfectly, perfectly into business. If you can't be on time for training, how are you going to be on time for a sales call?
Yeah.
Or if you can't just push through an injury or adversity in sports, how are you going to push through adversity or whatever in business? So for me also, going to the gym or going for runs or go swim or go to do martial arts, whatever you do, the same values apply, or some values apply for business 100%. As well.
And I've seen that with like, when I've hired people, worked with people who were like, they did some sort of competitive sport as a kid, especially swimmers, like whatever it might have been, like they did something competitive as a kid compared to people who maybe never did that, or their parents never forced them to do that. You're like, holy shit, like immediately we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Like for me, when I was like 16, 15, my mum would take me almost every other day to go swimming in the morning, first thing squads in the morning. Hated going for the most part, but I was like, oh no, this is an everyday thing. This is a like, go if you want to go, if you don't want to go, we're going to do this thing.
Yeah.
And then with business, for me, like I can honestly say, I never take a day off business. It might be one phone call or a couple emails for 30 minutes, and some days it might be 12 hours of work. But every day, I've been working.
You're gonna do something.
As far as I can remember, from like McDonald's days to now, like I've been working.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. And one of the biggest things I do when I run, my mentality is I'm not trying to be the fastest. I'm trying to get good times for my age group. But at the end of the day, and my weight class, let's say, but at the end of the day, it's
the
like
heavyweight class,
middleweight. Come on, bro, bantamweight. It's like for me, I just say the same thing. I'm like, oh, I'm tired, stitchy, whatever. Well, I'm not stopping.
Nah, you can't.
Well, I'm not going to stop. So, what
are you going to do?
Yourself, like, figure it out, bro. Yeah. Manage the pain better, because I ain't stopping. Even when I do 10K runs or marathon runs, I'm like, well, I ain't stopping. So, cry about it in your head or some shit, because I'm not stopping.
Yeah.
So figure it out. Same goes for business. Well, I'm not stopping.
Yeah.
I think the one weirdest thing that I did in my entrepreneurial career so far is that I just didn't stop.
Yeah.
And I also stuck to the same business for a long time in an age where most people go through 500 businesses.
Yeah.
The same goes for you too. You've been in the same business for many years and you're young relatively to people, right?
And
It's like, I'm not stopping.
No, and it's a bit cliche to say, but if you don't stop, you will succeed. I mean, you hear it all the fucking time from some motivational stuff on Instagram and whatnot. But if you don't stop, eventually you will succeed. It's the same thing if you go running, right? If you don't stop, you will cross the finish line.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in
100%.
business, yeah. And also, like, speaking about being sports and discipline and how it applies for business, I don't know if you know him. His name's Andy Elliott. He's a sales trainer in America.
The bald dude?
The bald dude.
Who always tucks his shirt in?
Yeah, for car sales and solar, I think. And he's a bit controversial, like I said. But he says, if you don't have a six-pack, or if you're not trying to get a six-pack, you can't work with me.
Jesus Christ.
He's a bit extreme, but you don't have to agree with it.
Yeah.
You don't have to agree with it, but I get what he's trying to achieve. Yeah. So that's a crazy thing.
Man, it's a weird thing, but like, it's also the type of person you are. It of course depends on the type of person you are. Like for me, I'm the type of person, and I would describe my business character over the years as like, you know, the start of like a video game or start of like Skyrim, where you get to choose what type of character you want to be. Do you want to be an elf? Do you want to be that cat thing, Khajiit? For me, you can be a wizard or some stuff. For me, my business character is just a brute. I'm just going to bang my head against the wall until something works, right? Like for so many years, e-commerce brokers did not financially make sense because I compared, okay, maybe it's making money, but how much profit is it actually making? Does that profit translate to actually more money than I would have made if I had a job back in Sydney at an investment bank? And up until a couple of years ago, definitely not. The comparison was terrible, right? Like it just did not compare well. But I just kept banging my head against the wall, I made my changes and I learned from my mistakes.
Yeah, you did. Even when I met you, but it worked. But it's the same business.
Slowly. Yeah, I mean, look, when
you stuck to it, and that's
I remember
the thing.
one of the first times we met doing kickboxing. I remember I was talking like, it's like, what do you do? I'm like, oh man, I'm working on big deals, $10 million deals, $25 million deals. They all failed. Like 2-3 months after I left Cyprus that time, I came back, just tail between my legs, super depressed. I'm like, nothing's working. And I said to myself, I'm not changing business. I thought about it. I remember walking in Larnaca and seeing some restaurants being like, we're hiring. I'm like, oh, part-time job would help right now. And I'm just like, you know what? I travel too much, which is still true to this day probably.
Yeah.
But I'm like, let me just stay in Greece and Cyprus as a financial base to limit my spending for at least don't travel more outside of these countries for longer than 3 weeks at a time. I just focused, dialed in, worked my ass off, and then things went ridiculously well.
They did, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's a funny way to think about entrepreneurship, and everyone has different styles. For me, it's just a brute. I'm like, I'm going to do the same thing until it works.
Yeah.
Because I ain't stopping.
Yeah.
And I mean, right now, like something as simple as like SEO, keywords, right? My team has been working so hard to put out articles, put out videos, content, whatever it is, guest posts, whatever it might be, so that we rank for certain keywords. And we are how many years in to running e-commerce brokers, and now we rank for online business brokers. Only because of years of work, and now we get all that really good traffic. And that's it for today's podcast. If you like the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We have an Instagram account. Check that out. And of course, if you're looking to buy or sell an online business or brick and mortar, take a look at our website. Link in the description below.